boy.
Woohoo! All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Bloodoak Duchy live stream. We're doing a random general Q&A today. I'm not sure how many people are going to be in the audience in the chat asking questions today or what we're going to talk about. We're hoping you guys have some content for us and some question for us because... Hey, no, Grumpy Squirrel said we're shit out of luck. We got nothing to talk about today. In light of recent developments with COE, we have absolutely nothing to talk about. So welcome to the show. We're consistent. We're going to be here every time we're due to be here, whether we got content or not. But it's just unfortunate. It is what it is. You know, someone asked me earlier, why don't we start planning this or start planning that? As far as I'm concerned, we're in a Cold War bunker somewhere, hunkered down, waiting for domain and settlement selection to happen. Until that happens, nobody's winning nothing. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't doing nothing. We're in a holding pattern is where we're at. And it is what it is, but this holding pattern seems to be holding out a lot longer than I had anticipated or even hoped for. But here we are. We've got Delethros with us and his fancy GIF bouncing around there. Borne's with us, the terrorist of Canada, and Flard with us.
Just some guy.
Just some guy, right. So welcome, everybody. D, how are you doing over there?
I'm doing good, thank you. Doing good. I mean, it's I agree that kind of like, the community in general, not just Boardwall, but when I look again at the forums, when I kind of like, I don't check the COE Discord that often, but even there, it all seems like you said, stuff's just on hold right now, it seems, and there was, in fact, we were chatting just before the show started about that. In fact, I shared the image with you of Caspian's comment in the COE Discord last Saturday, and I have to say again, speaking just for myself, this isn't officially as a Duke or any particular pledge package. I was just incredibly disappointed by it. I found that where he said, there's nothing we can do about, sometimes, we can't meet a date because it's beyond our control. And that's the one. And it's, I'm sorry, in this particular case, I find that to be bullshit. You don't give out basically what amount to fake dates. And that's what's happening here. And then for Caspian to turn that around and start saying it's unpleasant for him to be coming in here into the Discord, etc., etc. Well, what is of concern to me here is that he seems to be blaming the community for something and basically an ongoing situation and culture that he has created, and is then kind of like upset when the little boy who cried wolf, when the villagers no longer come to listen to or trust him. And I want to make it categorically clear here. I like Caspian. I just don't like this particular thing that he's doing. My passion for COE is not diminished. I think COE will come out. I think it'll be a great game. But when people come to me now and they ask, "Oh, hey, Caspian just came out with a date. Should we start planning for this?" How am I the fuck supposed to respond to that now? After several years of it, very clearly being a pattern, and it's like, no, it's it'll be out when it'll be out. But I'll shut up and let others chime in.
Borne, what did you think about that last comment, that last meaningful comment, substantial comment we got from Caspian on last Saturday? It's been complete radio silence since. What were your thoughts on that?
I'm not a huge fan of Caspian, to put it very nicely, I guess. So that last comment he said, like, how he's not a big fan of what's going on either and all that. If you remember, Nas, we had a discussion, you and I, and we looked at all the past posts he had made, and you had found one that exactly a year ago almost, Caspian had said that SBS would stop releasing hard dates for events because of the outbursts it was causing the community when they wouldn't meet those dates, basically. So he had already said that a year ago. So for us to be at that exact same point now, a year later, with that exact same problem, with him addressing the same thing again, saying, "Oh, sorry, this sucks for everyone, not just you guys. It also sucks for SBS."
But he's not saying sorry. This in part is my point.
He did, though, in the voice chat.
Yeah.
But not everyone was there. That's the problem. He didn't make an official statements of sorry. He only said sorry to the people who were in that voice chat. And even then, he said sorry to people in that voice chat after he'd already said "fuck you" to someone in that voice chat. So it was a roller coaster of emotions in that voice chat.
I wasn't in the voice chat, so I can only go by kind of like, the comments that I'm seeing and everything like that. And what to me is kind of like of concern. Again, it's concern mixed with frustration. It's like, we're back, like you rightly pointed out. We're back where we were, let's say, a year ago, with him saying, "Oh, my bad, won't be doing this." But not only are we back there, but he seems to be defending it, and almost, as I say, the tone that I was picking up from that, and maybe it's mistaken on my part, but the tone that I was picking up is like he's almost blaming the community for it, and it's I'm shocked on a certain level about it,
There was another comment.
I
There was
agree.
another comment that he made that said, if you want to teach us not to hit our dates, stop funding the project, and the game won't come out, and that'll really show us. Why the hell are you saying that to your community of loyal supporters for years that are passionate about what you're doing? They just want you to stop giving bad dates, dude. They want you to stop communicating to the community in certain ways, not completely radio silent, like we haven't fucking heard from you in a week. We love hearing from you. We just don't want to hear bad dates, and we've been saying that for a year, right? So that was a large part of the frustration that I was having when I was an SBS super moderator. Indeed, we talked about it quite often. Was I was saying you guys need to manage how information is released, and let SERP be more of a community manager, because he's not right now. He's a babysitter in chief for Discord. That's all Caspian's allowing him to do, right? We've got to manage that information and the community expectations, and do a better job of releasing information. It's pretty clear, right? I don't know.
Well, I think, does that leave us then as a duchy? Does that leave us in the absence of basically Soulbound Studios in what I would consider to be in a proper manner managing the expectations of the community? Do we now, is it incumbent upon us to manage the expectations of our own communities? What do we do next time there's a date come out? Should we tell our community to be hyped, or should we tell them, hey, this is great news? Because again, I want to make it clear, we're on the fucking side of SBS and kind of Caspian. We want this fucking game to come out. We're not sitting here bitching and moaning and saying, "Oh, see, I told you so, it's never coming out." We're not here kind of like as a group of naysayers. We're here as a group of supporters. And let me make it very clear that at least for this moment in time, we need each other. Yeah. The studio needs the community, and the community needs the studio. It's a symbiotic relationship. And what I'm seeing is that we're kind of like, we've given a lot, but we've kind of like been kind of like strung along, at least in regards to dates.
We're not allowed to voice. We're not allowed to voice our frustration at all, D. Any semblance of frustration is negative. You can't be negative. Well, you can't be honest with your community either, because the truth of the matter right now is it's fucking negative, right? So, but you can't say that because you're a leader in the community and you're advocating their downfall. No, you're not. You're trying to help them point out what is obstructing us from creating the community under us, right? So, but I mean, I've seen some of the stuff that Caspian likes to say to people when they disagree with anything, and it's not pretty, If you can go into a Discord, in a public Discord with tens of thousands of people, and say, fuck it, don't support the game. Why? If he can say that publicly to tens of thousands of people, imagine what he says to other people behind closed doors. No.
And that's your CEO.
I'm telling my people to stay the fuck out of there until they get their shit together. It's a mess. But that's not what we wanted this show to be about, but it's easy to talk about, so let's not get caught up in there. Flora, what was your thoughts on the last thing we heard from Caspian almost a week ago now?
Honestly, I don't think I read that particular piece. I was looking for it, but I just
back up there.
Yeah, it's enlightening, to say the least. I have another small thing to nitpick about. Just the fact that I've been noticing in like the general COE chat and the domain and settlement selection, people are coming in and be like, "Hey, I got an email that said this is my pick window. What's going on, guys?" And they never sent out an email that said, "Hey, we're delaying your pick window," right? So that's really like they'll send out the supposedly good message, but to people who don't go into the Discord, the other members of the community, I would to borrow a term, the silent majority, right? They get a lot of their communique via the email and via sometimes the forums, but sometimes they don't have time to check. So the fact that SBS didn't send out an email that said, "Hey, we're delaying your pick window," and they had like 2 weeks to do that for counts and mayors and all that stuff.
So communication across the board is just complete trash right now.
I wouldn't say it's great.
Yeah, and like I said, for me and my community, people are coming to me every day. Hey, let's start planning this or let's start planning that, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to talk about nothing. I want SBS to release maps, and then we can secure our position, and then we start planning stuff. Right now, everything is like hanging in the wind right now. The longer they delay this, the longer they take their time to do it right at this point, after they've already announced so many dates and missed them. It's just eroding more and more confidence from the community. Yeah, they just need to get it done. I don't think we can move past this until they release it. It is what it is, and we're stuck here in a shitty place.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest mistake they could do in the coming weeks and months is to, even if they do start domain and settlement selection, if they also start the Kickstart anniversary halfway through that, or even without a solid finish to it, I think that would be the biggest mistake they could make moving forward. Because I, despite my better judgment, still have trust in the studio to release, period, whether that be on time or late. But honestly, if they want to ask for more funding in the middle of something they're doing, this domain and settlement selection, that would be the straw that breaks the camel's back for me personally.
Yeah, and for the record, Tal, I'm not suggesting they give us a date for maps. I'm just suggesting they finish the shit that should have been done long ago. It was ready to go so long ago. Just release that so we can move past this and push forward to the next thing that they have an opportunity to rebuild confidence on, and hopefully they hit that one out of the park. I sent Caspian a message 3 months or so before this was supposed to kick off, and I said, Caspian, if you guys hit this out of the park, it'll be such a confidence boost for the community. It'll carry us through to alpha. Everybody will be flying high. It'll be great. And he said, well, it's an ambitious date, and I hope we get it. You hope we get it? Like, no, I don't know. This wasn't a home run. Like, this wasn't even a base hit. This is terrible.
Yeah, this to me was it was a whiff. It's how can it be an ambitious date if this is something you sent to him 3 months ago, when basically we were led to believe that it was ready and being delayed, over Christmas because it was going to interfere with people's vacations. I know, we brought these points up before, but it's just it's starting to irritate people more and more and more when they start to see the pattern and realize what is going on here. It can't have been ready to be released in November if basically, or December, if 6 months later they still can't put it out. And even it's just going to take a few days, and domain and settlement selection started beginning of May, and here we are, we're already in the last third of May, and I think there's less than a week of May left. It's not that I don't want the studio to give dates. Dates are important. Dates are critical. Dates are things that people get hyped up about. Dates are probably very important to their fundraising and everything. But for fuck's sake, give dates that you can meet.
Borne wants to do a meme review real quick. So I'm gonna throw that up on the screen. So Borne was talking about this a little bit a minute ago. When you can see the date on here was May 19th, 2018. We've been here, done this, right? Like, this is nothing new. I don't understand the shock and the outrage when your community says, what the fuck? We've been through this. Why are we doing it again? I don't know. Borne, what was your thoughts on this one?
Well, I made it for a reason. I wasn't very happy. Yeah, I mean, when I brought it up to you and we talked about it and stuff, then you're the one that gave me the quote finally, because you saved those, thankfully. I don't save all of them. But yeah, I made it for a reason. I was not very happy that all of a sudden they were making this promise that things were going to change when they already had in the past. And I shouldn't say all. Some people in the COE community were just like, "Oh, guys, stop being mean. SBS is making a change. It's finally happening. Stop shitting on them. Stop being salty." And it's like, well, this happened already. It's not a change. It's supposed to already have been implemented.
Yeah, so I think I pulled up the wrong meme, but I mean, whatever. It's good. We got the point across.
No, that was the right meme, I think.
No, he had another one in mind.
Oh, it was a different meme?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
this is to reference. This is to reference. Actually, this one was made originally because in the COE common room, I was talking about the fact that SBS had told us that the main selection had been delayed over Christmas due to the holidays possibly interfering with players. Serpentius called me a liar in the COE common room for saying that they had never said that. So being the spiteful person I am, I messaged Nas, and him and I went through all the logs of conversations for every timeline SBS had ever given us for domain selection. And I made
nothing to do with this.
That meme.
This is all you.
Yeah, right. You helped. I made the meme for sure. But
terrible quality. Yeah, made better. I'm sorry, you were saying.
But yeah, so they've I think it's like 9 dates or 8 dates now. Like, it's getting ridiculous. And that's the problem. Like, so people are saying, like, oh, SBS finally told us that they're not releasing dates anymore. That's great. Like, 100%. I'm super happy about that. Don't release dates anymore.
Don't release bad dates.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, don't release bad dates. Release dates when you have a product that works, so that when you release it, it's ready for it. But the problem with the current situation is, yes, that's a great change for the future, even though it was supposed to have happened a year ago. But we already know how fucked up and delayed domain and settlement selection is. Doesn't matter if you stop giving us dates for it. We already know it's fucking 5 months overdue. So it'll be good for future events. But I'm already disappointed and pissed off about DSS.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm telling people that it happened when it happens, right? I don't want to go on this wild tangent about how terrible their communication has been lately. Although we just did for like 21 minutes, so that's always good. But no,
good time.
So
well, I think and I hope that they realise how serious this is.
Yeah.
Because it's, all of us here that are active, whether we're on the stream, whether we're just active in our own communities and everything, we basically, it's not just that we've backed the project itself, but most of us have basically invested a fuck ton of time and passion into building our overall communities, whether it's supporting Boardwall, whether it's supporting our own individual counties or our own individual towns and everything like that. And then basically to have this kind of a situation where it's like, oh, hey, yeah, guys, if you don't like it, just stop sending us money. It's kind of like, fuck you, you're replaceable. And I think it's horrible to us as a community that is so passionate about the project, that is actually passionate about the studio, that we're generally speaking okay with the fact that it's taking longer. Nobody expects, or at least I hope not. I mean, nobody expects them to meet their other timeline of, oh, we'll be working on developing, the release of the game in 2019. Fuck me, we haven't even started alpha yet, or even pre-alpha. And strangely enough, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that this is a really, really ambitious project being tackled by a relatively small studio. And I'm okay with stuff kind of like, oh, we didn't expect this or we didn't expect that. To me, that kind of stuff is actually expected, right? I think most of us are mature and forgiving on that level. But when basically there is a culture of, oh, hey, yeah, we're working in a manner that all the hard work that you guys are putting in building your communities, we actually have a culture of working in a way that is going to unravel all of your hard work.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. Sorry, go ahead.
In the Marine Corps, we used to go get the troops rallied up and we get them, in formation, they're ready to go. And then, I'm standing out in front of them. I'm their staff sergeant, their squad leader or whatever we're putting together. And, and then the gunny comes and leans over my shoulder. Never mind, dismiss them. Mission canceled. We're not doing that today. All right. Sorry, guys. Sorry to get you all riled up. Go back to doing nothing, raking lines in the sand. And then, they tell us, hey, we got to get the troops rallied up again. We're fixing to go do something. We got a movement coming, and I go get them all riled up and get them hyped up and get them pumped up, and they're in line. Like, these are your customers. In the Marine Corps, it was okay. You could get away with that because they were freaking Marines and they didn't have a choice, right? But you're wanting us to treat our customers that way, our community that way. That's funding your project. That's what this is right now. I don't know. We gotta do better. So, we have got about. We don't have any questions. This is a general Q&A, and y'all are just leaving us to dig a hole for our own grave in COE, which is what we'll do, because we'll just talk about stuff that pisses SBS off, and then we'll be terrible leadership and this, that, and other, because we're just telling you guys the truth. But the only thing that we can do, the only thing that I can do as Duke Noslam, is sit here and portray to you blind, delusional optimism. That's all I can do, right? Anything other than that, and I'm just a terrible human being.
Yeah, that's. We can. And what did you guys think of the shiny that came out last Thursday with the sandstorm in the desert for the weird. What were you guys' thoughts on that?
About time.
Go ahead.
The community's been asking for little videos and snippets and clips, and there's not been that much of them, but nobody's going to bitch about that. That's what we all want to see. It was great. It was awesome to see. As far as what the terrain looked like, and the low poly graphics. I mean, even the low poly graphics to me was like, this is amazing. I'd be happy to jump in right now. Let's go.
Oh
So
yeah, I
was
really
happy with
like.
it.
I don't mind the lower graphics, right? It just demonstrates that it's a fantasy world, right? You don't have to have photorealistic graphics.
Yeah, I liked it. Seeing it in poly was fine, like you said. I don't care that they're showing off poly things, because poly is what they're using to test things for UE4, right? So in the end, like, that's fine. And yeah, I thought it was really nice. So, like, when they released that GIF of the pig running around in poly to the overall community, I thought that was one of the coolest things that people had seen so far, gameplay wise, in like the last year. Just a fucking pig running around a little settlement.
They got a lot of little piggies running around all over the place now. They can't they can't corral them. Everybody's running off in different directions. So
Yeah, but I think kind of like the exciting thing about it is that, okay, that's what we saw for a sandstorm in the desert, right? But then I think you're going to see the equivalent of blizzards up in the fucking mountain passes up in the northern kingdoms, and tropical monsoons and torrential downpours, down south, etc. And I don't know, maybe windstorms or whatever, or just thunderstorms, in the grasslands, etc. And I
or
think
fog, yeah.
fog, somebody had mentioned on one of the forums today. I mean, these are the kind of things that, when as a community we see and we hear about and we listen, we get excited and we get passionate about. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, after 2-3 years to have a low poly gif of a or animation, or screen capture, whatever it is, of the sandstorm, is kind of cool. But most people are expecting more than that. But yet for me, it's like, when I see that and you see the scale that this game is being developed on, again, I'm fine with it taking longer. I think this really, really, if and when it does come out, is truly going to be a genre defining game. I'm still so excited and so passionate for it. It's just, stop being stupid.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that there's their focus is so much on the game, and they don't really have a whole lot of bandwidth to deal with community issues or community building. But that's what we're trying to do, and what we're trying to focus on, and what we're telling them is, there's things that we need to continue building these communities, and you guys aren't providing that. Not only are you not providing that, but you're doing things counterintuitive to what we need to build strong communities. Your passionate outbursts, telling people stupid shit that you shouldn't be telling them because you're upset or mad. I get it, dude. I get it. I really do. But we don't need to see that. And my potential gentry that I'm trying to get to purchase a package don't want to see you acting like that, right? But the game's going to be cool. The community and the communication is shit. But the game's going to be cool. I mean, we don't need that.
Again, I would say the communication in regards to dates is shit.
Yeah.
Because, again, I've been in a number of pre-launch communities, and the amount of communication that we get from the devs, to me at least, is unprecedented.
Oh yeah.
When I look at what was coming for Elder Scrolls Online, or even back in the old days, back in 2006 for Darkfall. Now, admittedly, there's a little bit of a difference because they didn't need to, they weren't crowdfunded or anything like that. But fuck, Darkfall, sometimes you wouldn't hear from a dev for 2 months. You know?
Yeah.
We get devs chatting, I know Caspian hasn't been in the Discord for a few days, but Snipe Hunter was in there, I think it was today or yesterday. And
Today, yeah.
spent a nice amount of time, chatting with people and things as it relates to domain and settlement selection, etc. I think that the communication from this team is actually exemplary in pretty much 99% of the stuff, and yet the fact that they're fucking up with the dates throws shade on everything, kind of thing. And Caspian did hit this nail on the head in the comment he made. People aren't able to differentiate and kind of like just say, hey, it's just the dates that are fucked up, not the project, not this, not that, not the vision of the game or anything. It's just how the dates are being presented. But at the same token, I would say that Caspian kind of like needs to look at his words in the mirror as well, because it's not the community also saying that hey, everything about the project is fucked, and that I won't come into Discord because you're all bagging on me. It just tweak that one little thing, and I think you'll find that it just changes the attitude of people from feeling that they're being misled and they're being conned somehow to again all kind of like being on the same page. And hey, yeah, shit happens. Okay, the fucking the cloud dumped whatever, and this didn't get rendered or that didn't get rendered. But again, if you don't have those dates out there, it's not an issue. You just present it when it's ready.
Yeah, I mean, Pro Basket Weaver said, I know plenty of people like that. I personally wouldn't mind a fiery attitude. I mean, none of us, I say none of us, but a lot of us appreciate that. I have a fiery attitude. It gets my ass in a lot of trouble sometimes. But that's not a bad thing, but it's not for everybody. Everybody don't want to hear my sarcastic spunkiness, right? And so when you're the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company now at this point, you've got to deliver information in a consistent manner that appeals to everyone, and we're not doing that. We're getting spunky and fiery, and it's really turning some people off. I've had lots of people that say, fuck this, I'm never coming back, and that's unfortunate. We shouldn't be in this place right now when we're in, and it was created by this individual that we started the stream off with the screenshot blaming the community for being harsh on him. You brought this on yourself, dude. Suck it up, do better, come back, knock the next one out of the fucking park like we asked you to do on this one. That's where we're at.
And I think that's kind of like, that's where we'll go. I think, once we get the maps in our hands, once we get all of this, I think kind of like it's almost like I wouldn't say it washes everything and makes everything good, etc. But this particular crisis, for want of a better word, this particular lapse of confidence in Caspian's credibility is over and done with. And almost to a certain extent, I'm not going to get in whether rightfully or wrongfully, it basically, it resets everything, right? And it's where he goes on from here. If he gets the next one right, regardless of what it is, I don't care if it's, a pre-Illyrian adventure. I don't care if it's saying that, hey, I'm doing a state of Illyria, and it'll be out in a week's time, and then it isn't out for a month. Fuck, write the thing, and then say it's going to be out in 2 weeks' time, and release it in a week's time, and people go, fuck, you're ahead of time, you're a genius. But it's the same amount of effort. It's I don't know. It's basic marketing to me, and it's kind of silly in a way, that it's being ignored.
That pre-Illyria client that we're supposed to get, I don't even know where we're at with that. That's kind of like part of the alpha, but I mean, we're stuck at what months now on domain and settlement selection. So I'm not even thinking about alpha or beta or any of that shit. I'm stuck in this one spot right now, and they're, like I said earlier, no one's winning until we get past this shit. We can't get back. We can't get to that next place where they have a chance to, do things right until we get past this screw up, and we're just dragging ourselves through it, right? Taking our sweet time to get out of it. That's where we're at.
I want to. Sorry, go ahead.
We actually have a question from Pup416. I believe directed at Borne. If you wanted to take a whack at it.
He paid
sure.
him to ask that shit.
I actually have a couple more that were DM'd to me, messaged to me in Discord. So borders aside, do we expect any barriers, trade or travel? And I tried asking if he meant like polls or something to enter settlements or to cross borders into new domains or something like that. I mean,
that is one of any barrier.
I mean, it very possibly. I mean, it all depends on whoever runs that domain, right? Some counts may implement a tax to enter their domain, or certain settlements might be taxed for entry by mayors and such like that. I'm assuming there will be in some places. I don't plan on having that for my settlement or my county for merchants or anything like that coming through. But yeah.
I think other barriers we're going to see for trade and travel are the quality of roads, right? Weather happens and can flush out a road. A tree can fall in the path, and if you're traveling through a forest or on the coast, right? Storms happen, and that's a barrier to trade. I think raising capital for larger trips to make it worth it will be a barrier to trade, especially in the early game before we get a more complex economy going with letters of credit or however we decide to figure out trade, whether it be international, regional, or local. Other than that, bandits, right? Not just on land, but coastal wreckers, right? They'll light fires on the coast. People might think that that's a lighthouse when really they're just some poor saps next to some sharp, pointy rocks, and that might have a game effect, right? Wrecking your ship on some sharp, pointy rocks is never a good thing. Barriers to trade, other people, and lack of trust. Right, trust is a cornerstone to any long distance trade, and having to build that up over time and building a robust, I wouldn't say complex, but adequate international economy and trade policy is definitely going to take some time, and in the early game it's going to be a big barrier to trade.
I think one of the biggest barriers to trade, just coming out of left field here, is going to be the acquisition of actual resources. So people will go out adventuring and they'll find a coal vein, and they're like, oh, I've got coal, I can trade this. And then that count comes along. What the hell are you doing on my land? Nobody said you could. Nobody said you could collect this and take it to the next door duchy and sell it for a profit. What the hell are you doing? And then now you have a conflict, right? Which you're probably going to lose. But yeah. So that's I think one of the biggest issues to trade is actually acquiring that which you want to trade. It's going to be far more difficult to gather the resources that you're going to need than most people think. I think most people think they're just going to run around all willy-nilly grabbing whatever they want, and that's when they're going to get their head lopped off.
So I do have a couple of questions that were asked via Discord.
There was actually an earlier question by Grumpy Squirrel, and they're upset that we didn't answer that one.
I think D said he wanted to address it.
Let me try quickly address that one. The question was, how do we feel about not really getting a choice to select the locations of our settlements and they just be plotted out willy-nilly? My issue here is that duchy settlements might be in bad locations, and you either take the larger city size or lose it to a lesser noble mayor. Boy, I mean, my take on this is that they have not been plotted out willy-nilly. They have, in fact, it's one of the reasons, ironically, for the delay of domain and settlement selection, because they're changing the height maps on the map, and that requires literally a metric fuck ton of rendering. It is a huge amount of work that should not be underestimated, and that Genuinely, it's very, very intensive. And because of the fact that the height map changes the way that some of the rivers might flow, that will actually change where some of the settlements might get placed, because the settlements are being placed in areas that have resources. You might not know exactly where the iron ore is underneath the ground, but you know that it's going to be in the area if you know that metalworking is one of the major professions of that town. Whereas if we would have selected ourselves, you might place in oh wow, this hilltop's fucking cool looking over here. I can build a great little fort on top, and you find out that it's the worst fucking place out because there's no water underneath it. The soil is acidic, and you can't grow, enough food to sustain it, etc., etc. We're like, you're almost better off having these. And then when you're looking at the fact that I just don't logistically know how they would deal with thousands and thousands of people telling them I want it on this coordinate and this coordinate, and instead of them being procedurally generated by their algorithms and their computers, that they have to handcraft them. I don't think they'd ever be finished with it, so to speak. And after all that is said and done, and it's actually something that I might be looking at doing anyway, is you can always build your own city, customized the way that you want it from scratch if there isn't something there that you want. And so, as an example of this, for the capital of the kingdom, I don't know what the fuck it's going to look like. I don't know if I'm going to like it. I don't know if it's going to be defensible. And so I might very well start building right next door to it. And I mean literally right next door, and building it in a manner that I think is better, and slowly try and attract the NPCs from 30, 40, 50 parcels away into kind of like the new city. So you'd have a new town and an old town kind of thing that make up the entire town. But hopefully that answers it a little bit for you, Grumpy.
Yeah, Grumpy was talking quite a bit during the stream while you were talking. Say the Duchy settlement should be around certain areas, but they aren't. The particular city he wants is on the coastline when it should be further inland for security reasons. So yeah, I mean, I think there, the purpose for the delay, and that we're all very patiently dealing with right now, is so that they do put those settlements on the map in the most strategic places for those settlements. It just makes sense to have certain large settlements in sustainable areas. And so, given the lay of the land, they're being placed where, they're most likely to succeed. So, like Dee was saying, if you choose to build a large capital-sized city out of a hamlet somewhere, the local area is not likely going to be able to sustain that size of a settlement. But if you're importing goods in and whatnot, you'll be fine. But the whole reason for the delay is so that they get the settlements in the right areas and everything balances out. So just to throw us in all willy-nilly would get us past this point of waiting for the delay, but it kind of negates the whole reason for the delay. We're at 45 minutes, D. This is amazing. How did we get
We
this?
made it.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Still got 2 questions to touch on too.
All right, what you got?
Sure.
So, question 1 was from Anaximander, and he was asking if cannibalism would be a feature. I'm pretty sure the devs have said multiple times that cannibalism will not be a feature, however. There will be no eating of others.
People just want to eat Kipik. But
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I saw the meme channel. There was a Kipik recipe.
Yeah, I saw that.
Do you know there was a meme there that I was very, very impressed with? I didn't fully get it because I'm not up to date on all the politics on the EU server, but somebody had made that image with the Broodveer, and it was kind of like an animated meme, and I thought that was well done and it was clever. It was just cool to see the way he was kind of like bouncing around and everything like that.
The dancing Broodveer.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
I liked it.
That was a good one. And the second question was from Suna, asking if malnutrition was going to be a thing. Like if we ate bread, for example, and only bread, would we get sick?
Oh gosh.
I believe
Probably.
they've said that. I believe that they said that what you eat would influence your character, how he looks, and his stats over time.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think they said, what you eat and everything might affect whether you get skinny and muscular, whether you get fat and overweight, and different things like that. But I don't think that we've been given, anything categorically more specific than that in terms of how the actual mechanics of it will work. But in this game, you are what you eat, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean they've hinted at it, but other than that, anything beyond that is just theory crafting. We don't know for sure what's going to be in there.
Yeah. I think there'll be some rudimentary nutritional guidelines, I guess, but bread, cabbage, and cheese, perhaps. Call it a day.
Well, D, I don't have anything else. I apologize to our audience that actually did show up tonight. It just seems like everybody's checked out until domain and settlement selection. We're not expecting a big turnout here, but we did have 30, almost 40 people show up, so that's always good. A little down from usual, but yeah, we appreciate your support, and we'll keep coming every time we're supposed to be here, whether we got something to talk about or not. So, I mean, hopefully next time you guys see us, we'll have maps. I've said that, 2 shows in a row now. Next time, hopefully we'll have maps and we'll be able to talk about that, and we won't have any, mental breakdowns in other Discords to mention. So, yeah, that's all I've got. I appreciate you guys coming out. You guys got anything else?
Yeah, I think in closing, I'd like to state that again, we need to manage our own expectations on this, and kind of like just be aware of what's involved in following this game, and I think it will lead to a lot less disappointment and kind of like deflation of the community in the future. We have, and again, this is for Boardwall in general, but definitely for Bloodoak, since this is a Bloodoak stream, we have an amazing community. We truly, really do. And again, we wouldn't exist. We wouldn't have all gotten together. At least many of us. Some of us have kind of like have smaller gaming communities, but we wouldn't have all gotten together if it wasn't for COE. So we have so much to be kind of like grateful and upbeat and look forward to, and not set ourselves up to kind of like to be bummed when what we know now is kind of like a modus operandi, right? We should just look after ourselves in a way, whilst at the same time kind of like still supporting the game and the project and everything like that. I mean, as I said, I'm stoked about it. I'm stoked about our community, and I'll sign off on that.
Yeah,
New shiny drop, guys.
Shiny just dropped as we're talking about getting off.
Oh,
exactly.
It's something cool to check out. You guys go check it out. I don't particularly care to cover it here. There's not much meat on the bone there. It's just how they're creating the maps. Cool. Go check it out. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining us. Y'all have a good night.
Cheers.
Peace, everyone.
Take care, everybody.